Good morning and welcome. You know, this week, Brian Wilson with the Beach Boys passed, and a lot of the music they've been playing, it's kind of got me thinking about back in the late 60s and the 70s, back when I was just getting out of high school, and how good those times were. Think about the music. I don't know that a song comes on from that time that doesn't remind me of something, or I can kind of think where I was at the time when I first heard it. I think about my first car. It was just a different time then. You know, I sat back and I think, and those were great times. We had it so much better than our kids or our grandkids have it now. But you know, do we really? So one thing this morning, I got to thinking, well, how did our grandparents? They were about my age in the 70s. They were retired. Well, how was their retirement compared to what mine is, or what us retirees now are seeing? So I've kind of sat back thinking about it. I pulled up a few things this morning that I think it was pretty interesting what I found. So in the 70s, what I found was it was kind of a change, just like now. The pensions, the company pensions, they were starting to end. I think that was the beginning of the end for everybody having a pension and and having that as their retirement fund. Um, Social Security had been around a while, but Medicare had just started coming on strong. I think from what I can tell, it really started in the early 70s of kicking in and and giving that health care support to retirees. Uh, I found out that the COLAs, or the cost of living raises for Social Security, they didn't start till it said 1972. And in around 1974, they had what they called a SSI. Or I remember my grandmother, we called it old age pension. It was it was a fund that was, or an act that was put in to help, uh, I think, the widow ladies in my grandmother's case, but the elderly, uh, some of the ones with disability. It was assistance that was greatly needed by many of the elderly at the time. So it was the 401ks and IRAs. They hadn't started yet, so it. I think it was like 78 or 79 when when the 401s and the act for all of that got to kicking in, where we could start funding our own pensions or start funding our own retirement. Life expectancy, it said, was 71. So if you retired at 65, which, you know, I don't think we had age discrimination laws back then. From what I can tell, at 65, many companies, it was mandatory for you to retire. So what did you have? An expected 6, 7, maybe 10 years worth of longevity of your retirement. So it was quite a bit different than it is today. Healthcare cost, I think at the time, was still somewhat affordable. Uh, it appears that somewhere in the late 70s is when the healthcare costs really started to soar, which kind of brings in to today. And I think my grandparents, while they didn't have a lot, I think they really enjoyed their retirement. I, I, they died in their 70s. I think it was just a different time. I don't remember a lot of worry about money um, with them, although I know they didn't have a lot, but they had their family. We had the family reunions, weekends. We'd go see them. Uh, Always stayed pretty close with our cousins and our aunts and our uncles. Um, I think a lot of that has changed over the years. We live further apart. Maybe don't take the time to see each other like we should. Uh, I know as I get older, uh, I think about that a lot now, and I'm going to try to do my best to try to make some of those things happen again, where we get together as a family and try to just visit. Um, so the one thing though that I think is between the 70s or what they started to face and what we're starting to face ourselves is inflation. Um, it I was looking and it said in 1970 a gallon of gas was 35 cents a gallon. By 1979 it was 86 cents a gallon. Man, wouldn't we love to have 86 cents a gallon gas again? But that was well over double the price in just 10 years. Uh, a Mustang, a Ford Mustang, I think it said in 1970 one cost $2,510. By 1979, that Ford Mustang was up to $7,550. That's three times uh, higher than it was just 9 or 10 years earlier. Uh, we're starting to see the same thing. If not just yet, I think I think us as retirees, we're we're going to see that coming. It's going to happen I believe in our lifetime. Well, back then, grandparents they they lived through it. Uh, you know, as a young guy just getting out of high school, we made it through it. So I suspect uh, we can adjust. We'll figure this out if inflation starts back to roll, and 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 uh, we'll be just fine. Uh, we can always tighten our belts a little bit if we have to. So uh, I I have down here. I just jotted down a couple of notes. In the 70s, retirees had more financial predictability in retirement. They relied more on employer responsibility with the pensions and the government, the Social Security and Medicare. Uh, I think it played a bigger role than it does today in the retirement plan. And then today, our retirees, us, uh, there's more personal flexibility and choice. We have our 401ks, we got our IRAs, we got our Roths, we got a lot of choices. But with those choices, because it it gives us greater financial responsibility, and I think a much more uncertainty for the future. Instead of those 6 or 7, maybe 10 years of retirement, we're looking 20 or 30 years in retirement. So if we don't start planning early and really make a choice and uh, if we don't if we if we don't sit down and make a really good plan, stick to that plan. Our retirement may not be what we expect. It will probably be much different than our grandparents had back in the 70s. I know I kind of stumbled around a little bit. It's early in the morning. Uh, it's going to be hot today. I'm kind of waiting around to get the lawnmower going and get a little yard work done. Neighbors kind of frown when I'm up early with that lawnmower going, waking them up and stuff. So I try to hold off at least till 8 or 8:30 before I get the noisemaker out. So have a good day. Wes out.